Yeah, Sal, we're going to start this day off. We're talking about the 716 Day. Give716.org. If you haven't heard about it, since 7:16 p.m. last night, Bills fans, Sabres fans have come together and started giving to over 400 different charities, 501c3s. You probably heard the instigators talking about it at the end of their show. They did a big thing on it today, too. We're up to $659,000. It's going extremely well. And to kick it off, we wanted to bring in some guys that would, maybe spur some interest from Bills and Sabres fans. So we've got two guys that come on with us, me and you, Sal, besides you and me, of course. Two guys that come in that the Bills fans, Sabres fans are very familiar with. Of course, it's our good friend Lorenzo Alexander from Arizona coming in. Lorenzo, how you doing, man? And also Marty Biron as well. Guys, thanks for coming on. Lorenzo, I'll start with you. How you doing, man? You look great.
I appreciate it. We out here in Phoenix, really enjoying it. Had a chance to spend some time with Sean McDermott and Kyle Williams last week out at Tahoe. So our family is doing great. Everybody's healthy and just enjoying these summer months before school starts back up.
And Marty, you've been on the air. You were with the instigators just before we came on the air. So you're just kind of hanging around with us, just kind of slumming, right?
Yeah, kind of slumming, but I'm doing it from North Dakota, Fargo, North Dakota. Jacob and I drove down the last couple of days. He's got a hockey camp here. So from the hotel room and keeping an eye on what's going on with Give 716. It's incredible that how it started last night and where they're at today, and it's got to keep going. And so I was happy to just jump on your show. I don't do that often. So, and since Lorenzo was there, I'm like, oh, I gotta bring the Sabres side to it too. So that's why I'm doing this.
We know Buffalo has a reputation for giving. We've seen so many great examples over the years, whether it's people who are in need, great organizations, charities. Andy Dalton, after the play, obviously, in Cincinnati. We saw even the Lamar Jackson, he gets injured, people start donating. There's no reason necessarily here other than we have good hearts and we want to make sure that, organizations get the funding that they need. And that's why today is really special because there was no necessarily one event that really did this. This is, hey, let's just show everybody around that we can give and we can be a part of a big community that cares and leans on one another.
Yeah, it's been great.
No, that's awesome. And
Lorenzo, you were here for 3 years, Lorenzo. You really jumped in with both feet here in Buffalo, and you had a reputation for it. People loved you for it. Give us a little idea of how you came to realize that Buffalo was this kind of city.
Wow. And like I was saying, I think that the spirit of the giving, the support, Bills Mafia gets a lot of credit, the 30 for 30 for how they support their organizations, especially the Buffalo Bills on the field. But I really fell in love with the relationships and the people I got to meet away from the facility, whether it was Tim Delaney over at South Park, whether it was working with the Bell Center. And then within those two kind of programmings, I always had people in the community want to reach out, come out, volunteer, give money, and figure out ways they could partner with me in order to make an impact in people's lives. And so that's why it was such a fun place for me to play, because I got the support on the field, but more importantly, where my heart really lies as far as supporting other people. And we saw that constant times. And so it's great to see the Bills and Sabres kind of partnering right, getting together, trying to galvanize this even more. And so I just want to tell people, though, as well, because I know everybody's been hit by the pandemic hard, right? And this is why it's even special that we come together now and help these organizations. But if you're a family that finds yourself even in a place where you can't necessarily give money, even though this is a capital campaign, I would encourage people to get out there and volunteer your services, because that's just as impactful as well, and oftentimes can save organizations money in a different way. If you're a massage therapist or you're a doctor or whatever your trade may be, volunteer that service to a specific organization that can utilize that, and that's just as impactful.
Yeah, it's pretty rewarding to do that. I mean, all I have to offer really is just a strong back, or it used to be strong back. I could go out, and carry, mow the lawn or something. But that basic, and I'm telling you, it helps. I mean, I've done that. You go out and you carry lumber at a construction site for a habitat, or you do anything you can. Just being there really means something to and you don't have to be a guy like me who spends my time on live radio every day. You can be just. You don't have to be anybody recognizes. And it really makes a difference for people when they know that there is actually a physical person there volunteering to come over and just help. It really makes a difference. And Marty, I gotta clap for you. Fargo, North Dakota. You decide. I guess what else are you gonna do? I mean, in Fargo. I mean, right?
His sorry tonight, so that's good. But you know what? I'll say this: we had Don Granado on the Instigators, and I love what he said. Like Buffalo gets such a bad rap, and it's from people that have never been to Buffalo. Everybody that's been there, all the players that have played with the Bills, played with the Sabres, the Toronto Blue Jays are in town right now. They love the support they're getting from the fan base, from the community. And I grew up in Quebec City. I moved to Western New York when I was 20 years old, and I've stayed in Western New York because it's such a generous community of loving people, hardworking people, and we've seen that. And this is another way to show the people all around the world, look at how great we are in Buffalo and how we are open-armed and we welcome everybody and we support one another. It is just amazing. When I was playing with the Sabres, the players loved to take part to all these events that charity organization would put together, and we still do that. I remember when Brian Moorman was playing with the Bills and his fund foundation. I mean, that's just what people do in Buffalo, and that's how we get represented around the world, and it's our best side, and we do that so well. So today is definitely one of those days to show the world that that's what we are in Buffalo. That's what we're made out of.
And I bet you ran into people from Buffalo out there, because there's always people from Buffalo everywhere, no matter where you go in this country. Lorenzo knows. He's laughing because Arizona's packed with them for sure. I'll tell you guys, I just came back from Oregon. I was visiting my brother out there a little bit south of Portland, and we go on a couple excursions or whatever, and we're on this little small town in Oregon, and we go out to dinner, and I got a Bills polo on, and I go in to give the guy the name, and he says, it's going to be a little wait, and he looks at me and goes, weren't you just here? I said, no. He goes, well, another guy with a Bills shirt just came in a moment ago to make reservations at this restaurant. So Bills fans, Sabres fans, Buffalonians, they're everywhere. And Lorenzo, I know you see it a lot out there in Arizona as well.
Yeah, I do. I mean, they have a huge Bills backer following out here. Bills Babes is out here. It's just a ton of former players that live here as well. And every time I take a trip, whether I'm going like Tahoe, it was a ton of fans out there last week supporting Sean and Kyle. When I go to Oakland, I see a ton of them. They're just everywhere. And every time you go, you're well received. It's just like having this one big family that's, intertwined throughout the country. And it's just so cool, because even like, for example, when I was in Phoenix, my mom moved here. Obviously, I was still playing. People were like, on Twitter and IG, like telling, hey, come out, hang out with us. Don't worry about nothing. Come and watch a game with me to watch your son. So it's always inviting, and it's always like a sense of family when you're from or connected to the Western New York community.
Steve Tasker, Sal Capaccio here for the next 3 hours, but we're live streaming on all the Bills platforms with Lorenzo Alexander and Marty Biron. Lorenzo, obviously a Buffalo Bills linebacker from 2016, 2019, and of course Marty Biron, a longtime Buffalo native now. I mean, you said you grew up in Quebec City, but you're a Buffalo guy now, right? I mean, you call that home now? Right?
Yeah,
you have to,
I
right?
say I'm the only French-Canadian American Buffalonian, because I got my dual citizenship, so I kind of got a few roots everywhere, but my deepest roots are definitely in Buffalo.
Yeah, I would say that's a short list of guys who fall into those categories. But yeah, we're going to do this till the bottom of the hour. And the thing you said, Sal, about I'll give you an example. We're out for a family reunion in Buena Vista, Colorado, which is it's a village. And we're going to go whitewater rafting, and I'm standing there getting ready, and nobody knows me outside of Buffalo, right? I'm not on any auto vans out,
right.
Right? So I'm not a picture in every airport. Just
and you
this
played
one.
with a helmet on, right? I mean, people might know a little bit, but
so I'm standing there. We're getting ready to go on this whitewater rafting thing, and a guy walks by, and he's got a Bills shirt. And I said, hey, go Bills. He goes, yeah. I go, you a Bills fan? He goes, yeah. So before I get into this, you got to, Lorenzo, you know what I'm talking about. You got to like quiz him up, right? Right. So I go, how'd you become a Bills fan? He goes, I grew up back there in Jamestown, and I was, I did this with my dad and that and that. I go, how old are you? And he told me he's almost 30. So I was like, okay. So if he's that old, I go, okay. I said, let me introduce myself. I said, I'm Steve Tasker. And the guy, he screamed. He's like, you're the best. He's like, he's a big Bills fan, right? So he does recognize my name. So it ends up, the guy's back in Buffalo with his dad on a game day. He's tailgating with us.
That's great.
Right? And I got my whole family's there. And it's one of the few times I actually got a chance to do it, and it just worked out that he had gone to college with my daughter at Cortland State and all this stuff. And people from Buffalo are everywhere. And I think, and I've said this before on the show, and Lorenzo, you say it, and see what you think too, Marty. There seems to be, in Bills fans in particular, a level of affection for each other, no matter where they are around the globe, that doesn't seem to be as heightened as it does with other fan bases. I mean, they kind of feel they're kind of it is family. I mean, Mafia is family. Yeah. So do you see that too, Lorenzo?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. And I think it's just something that Marty said earlier that, there's a sense of, I don't disrespect or people shunning Buffalo because of a lack of ignorance. And I think people really bond around that. So we have a shared experience as far as what that community really means. And so when you're out and about, you just want to throw that support to one another and making sure that you feel welcome, because there is kind of this disdain for Buffalo from if you're an outsider of not really knowing what it is. And so I think people from Buffalo make sure that we feel welcome wherever we go. Especially when they see you. So I felt that. Like I said, my mom has felt that. I even remember a time when I was in Buffalo, might have been after the Colts game, after we had that snow game, and I'm trying to pull into my driveway just to show you what people are willing to do. And I can't get in. I got that big old truck and can't get into my driveway because of all this snow. And so a whole bunch of the neighbors came out and kind of just pushed me up into my driveway so I would be out of the street so the snowplow wouldn't hit my truck. So and you get that wherever you go. Hey, you can stay with us. Hey, dinner on us. And it's not because I'm a player, because I've seen this with my mom or some other people that I know, that they just want to make sure that you're taken care of, especially when you may be out of your element or in a place that is new to you.
What about you, Marty?
You know what, Steve? There's a respect factor with people in Buffalo. I remember going to a restaurant one year and Doug Flutie was eating, and he was there with his family, and his son obviously had some challenges. So people wanted to go up to Doug Flutie, but they waited until his dinner was over and he left. And then by the time he was leaving, then a couple of people went up and asked for an autograph or picture. And I love that about Buffalo, because you don't get that. And unfortunately, I'm going to say some cities, but if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto, you're not getting that. You're not getting that in Montreal. You're not getting that in some other markets. Why? Because Buffalo, they feel like you're a part of the community, that you're a neighbor. Like Lorenzo just said, like, you're part of their community and they want to help and they respect that. So that's really important to me. That's something that I've enjoyed from the fans. Like, I give my phone numbers to everybody. I ran into a guy from Carolina the other day at a sporting goods and a store in Orchard Park, and he's a huge Sabres and Bills fan, and he listens to the show all the time. And I'm like, you know what? Here's my number. If you're ever at a game, text me, come by the set, whatever. So he works for a NASCAR company. So he texted me the other day, hey, we won this weekend. Just wanted to show you a picture or whatever. Like, hey, he's not going to bug me every week or every day, but right. It's just, there's a communication there. People respect the athletes, respect the Sabres players, the Bills players. They love them. And to me, that makes a big difference.
And I think it really comes down to, as Steve said, a family. There's a pride. There's a pride being from a place in a city that I think, let's face it, we've had our share of punches over the years, right? I mean, I remember growing up and hearing about the 1970s and the Miami Dolphins' dominance over the Bills, and then, of course, the blizzard of 77, and then, the 80s, and we didn't have great economic times in Buffalo, and then the 90s and the Super Bowls happened. We're still looking for an elusive championship, and it's always been us against the world in this city. It really has. And I think there's a pride in that, guys, that comes along with it. That if you know what you've been through if you're in Buffalo, and a lot of these other cities, the glamorous cities, if you will, they haven't really had to experience those kinds of things that, people have to band together, if you will, to come up and show, we're here and we're fighting, and no matter how many times we get knocked down, we're going to get back up. And that's what I think 716 Day is about, right? It's all these organizations coming together to help one another, because not everybody has the same resources to be able to help one another, Lorenzo. And I think really that's what it is. It is if you will, it's kind of a bunker mentality to kind of band together and make sure everyone's taken care of.
Yeah, it's definitely a collective mentality. And that's what I always liked about the city as well, that the organizations, just in a normal day, just when you're playing events, there's a lot of collaboration that goes on. I think Buffalo has something special in understanding that when you come together and do something with the same goal and mission in hand, it's that much more impactful. And I've seen it on numerous occasions with the different organizations that I've had a chance to partner with. And there was never any hesitation with other organizations coming together and working together to provide services or events or support for the local people in the community. So it's always more impactful. And that's why I love 716 Day. And I just love that community because they have that in mind. There's no ego, right? It's all about just serving and let's help people at any means necessary.
Steve Tasker and Sal Capaccio on One Bills Live. We're streaming the first half of hour of our show along with Marty Biron and Lorenzo Alexander here on 716 Day. We're streaming on all social media channels, all the way the Bills and Sabres have. We're commemorating 716 Day. And since we started, we're up to $674,000 since 7:16 p.m. last night. And the day goes until... they're going to extend the hours until 11:59 p.m. tonight, right before midnight tonight. But almost 675,000 so far today. And it's interesting too. And I get this. It's a small market city. What they call that means there's not huge businesses everywhere. I mean, but I'll say this: Highmark, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Western New York, they hosted a power hour today. They matched funds up to at 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. this morning. They were matching funds up to $20,000. KeyBank is doing it. Did it at 8 a.m. this morning. They matched up to $20,000. Dave and Adams Card World is hosted at 9 a.m. this morning. Hunt Real Estate Mortgage is doing it at 1 p.m. today. So in another half or 45 minutes or so, Hunt Real Estate will have a power hour, and they'll be matching funds up to $15,000. Wegmans, of course, is involved. They're going to match at $20,000, and they start their power hour at 2 p.m. during our show at One Bills Live. We're on till 3 o'clock. All these, and there are others as well. Moe's Southwest Grill, Rachel's Mediterranean, Total Sports Enterprises, and the Bills Sabres Foundations, of course, are on board with it as well. These companies, I mean, there's just not a long list. We all know these companies like the back of our hand, and yet, here they are again because they get called on constantly. I know the auto group I work for, Western, they get called constantly and ask for donations and help with events and this kind of thing. And these companies, unlike any other region, that's part of their deal. They know they need to jump on board with what their patrons ask them to do because their patrons come through for them time and time again. When you do business in Buffalo, it is about relationships rather than about the numbers and the bottom line because these people are going to need you again. Right, Marty?
Well, Steve, like everybody's competing, right? Like it's a business world. You have to compete, but you also have to work together. And that's what we're seeing here. Everybody can come together and work together. Now, I remember when I played for the Sabres, like the Bills and the Sabres were two worlds apart. Like we could not work together. It was just the way it is. The Sabres were on their side and the Bills were on their side. And obviously with Terry and Kim Pegula, owning both franchises now, like you can bring that together, the Sabres and the Bills, and build that community support to one another. Now, Steve, I don't know what it was like when you were playing. If you had interaction with the Sabres and you hung out with Rob Ray and those guys at all, but like we never did. Like I never, in the time it was like Doug Flutie and Eric Molds and those guys, like we never saw them at a charity event. If the Sabres were there, it was the Sabres. If the Bills were there, it was the Bills. They never was that community feeling to it. And this is what is so special right now is that we could be here, Bills, Sabres, fans get together and support one another. And I love that about what's going on in Buffalo the last few years.
Well, really, for the last 7 years, it's been one ownership, obviously, with Terry and Kim Pegula, and that's really brought everybody together in one Buffalo. And you've had this cross, promotion and section of the athletes and the people who work within the organizations. And I think it's really obviously helped to bond the city together for their sports teams as well. But that said, that has happened now. You see Bills players at Sabres games, Sabres players at Bills games are taking part in events with one another. So I have a question for both of you, all right? You've seen each other play. You've been to games. I know you've been to Sabres games, Lorenzo. I was at one with you. I know you've been to Bills games, Marty. So, Lorenzo, if you were to play hockey, what position would you play? And Marty, same thing, question, if you were a football player. We'll start with Lorenzo. If you were to play hockey, what position would you be?
Well, first of all, I have the utmost respect for hockey players. They do what I do, run through cats, and obviously have great skills with the putt on skates. I can't skate, so I don't know what position I would play. Maybe goalie. And I would have to just kind of stand there, but you have to be athletic at goalie and be able to skate. But I can't skate, so I don't know what position I would play.
Yeah, you don't have to be an athlete to play goalie, right, Marty?
Movement.
Yeah,
man. Say goalie. That's the least amount of movement.
Throwing some shade
Lorenzo,
there.
Is your son still trying to play goalie? I know when you were in Buffalo, he tried out one day. Is he still trying to be a goalie?
Yeah, we actually got him into a hockey league out here. Obviously, it's real big out here, too, with the Yolks and stuff, and having the number one player a couple of years ago. But then COVID actually shut down the ice rink that we're going to. And so we got to get back into the swing of things and kind of put it back in our mix. But it is something that they brought up here of late about playing hockey. So we'll get them back out there soon.
What position about you,
Steve,
Marty?
Steve, just because you said you don't have to be an athlete to play goalie, I would say I'd be a wide receiver. How hard can it be, right? Run down the field,
hard, right?
make your route, and catch the ball. Like
You're right.
You can avoid all the tackles. Maybe you take a few routes off here and there. You don't have to work too hard. So that's what I do.
Yeah, that you should be a special teams player. You got to stand on the sidelines most of the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, I probably would be the kickoff holder. You know, when there's wind on kickoff and you got to just put your finger on top of the ball, that would be my job. And then I run off the field.
Yeah, that's what I did.
You know, Lorenzo Marty was involved in a pretty famous fight here in Buffalo. We've talked about and run back with the late Ray Emery. He went at it. So even playing goalie, you have to get it going with the fists once in a while. I think. Are you okay with that? Playing hockey, you're gonna be okay to handle yourself?
You know, I came up in Oakland now, inner city. I can throw them things a little bit now if I can defend myself. So hey, if it comes to that, we got to do it. We've had to do it a couple of times in Buffalo. I mean, think about that Jaguars game.
Got to be tough.
You know, when Fournette and Shaq, we had to get in there and mix it up. It happens, you know, from time to time. So I would definitely be able to protect my guys in that aspect.
Marty
Now,
Biron, Lorenzo.
Let me ask you this: with fighting, do you guys like talk about it? Like if you play a team and it's really intense, and then the next year you play them again, and the guys are still on the sideline, do you talk about it beforehand? Like, if I can take a shot, I'm going after 72 over there. I'm going to take a shot at him because of what he did last year.
There are certain guys where that occurs, you know, some more than others. One in particular that I actually got to play with that I love now was Richie Incognito.
Yeah.
You know, you used to always have to be ready to go with him because you knew it was going to happen. But, you know, most of the time it was left there unless it was like a rival or somebody that did something repeatedly that you had to be aware about it, and you would tell all the guys, hey, be ready because it might go down right now.
In hockey, you kind of remember it for probably 10 years. People still talk about how when Milan Lucic took a run at Ryan Miller, and I mean, they're not even on the teams anymore. So in hockey, the memory is a little bit longer, I think, and those type of things happen more. So, which is great. That's why I dropped the gloves, and that's why people still talk about it. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, hopefully people are going to be talking about 716 Day for a long time to come. Lorenzo, Marty, guys, thanks for coming on with us. We've been streaming live for the last half hour. Thanks to all our online listeners, the streamers who have been listening to us. Thanks for taking part, all Bills fans out there. We're going to be Sal and I will be here for the next 2.5 hours as well. Lorenzo, Marty, thanks so much for joining us, guys. This is One Bills Live. We'll be back. Guys, take care. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.